Hi, my name is Darrell. I'm with Carte Blanche Media, and today I have with me a fellow marketer. His name's Emiliano. Let's go ahead and get started here. Can you tell me what first got you into marketing?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, first off, Darrell, for inviting me here. I'm really excited to be here, part of this educational opportunity that you're setting out there, putting out in the social media. So it's very exciting. Yeah, for me personally, I have a background in hip hop music. I've been doing that for almost 25 years. I started in the late 90s and really went through this strong underground hip hop phase. And at that point, it was all DIY and everything was street marketing. So this is all before social media. And then as I age and I grew up inside of hip hop, and the world changed, the focus changed, social media came in. And I had to learn all over again what it meant to market myself out to a community, how to connect with fans, how to connect with, just other individuals who love hip hop in the way that I do. So that was a steep learning curve. Really had to invest myself in social media. So over time, I mean, it's looked like MySpace, Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram, and now TikTok, and I'm just learning and going along with this. And as an aside, before marketing, I was in youth development, really working with youth, and they kept me young, and they kind of kept me hip to all of the social media that was coming up. And so inside of that, when the pandemic came and kind of wiped me out of the youth development field, there was this opportunity to learn more
Mm.
through experience. So I engaged in social media and marketing. I would say I'm like entry level,
Mhm.
but over the past year, have really gained a lot of capacity and understanding that really just enforced what I was already learning from my personal media ventures with music. So that's like my route to get there was through music. But now
Mhm.
I currently am working with a marketing team, an agency, if you will, out of New York City,
Mhm.
and we're promoting space called Meaningful Conversations, in which we're inviting people and marketing to people who are interested in having conversations on specific topics around discourses of society, those important things that people are really wanting to talk to, but there's not a lot of spaces for folks to have those conversations. So race, gender, class, religion, spirituality, all of those things that maybe are hot button topics and are kind of risky to have conversations with. The goal of the agency I'm with is creating a space so we can have conversations with a diverse array of strangers. And how do we promote like a cohesive and unified conversation versus like just promoting debate, right? So we're really encouraging dialogue over debate.
And you kind of already answered my next question. I was just going to ask you to tell me a little bit more about your role. You already did.
Yeah.
So I'll jump to the third question here. What has been the biggest challenge you've had since you kind of started marketing? Is there like a major challenge that you have right now in your role?
Mm. Yeah, I wouldn't say a personal challenge because I'm really in a mode of learning,
Hmm.
really trying to soak in everything. And I would say like challenges that are present, that make work stressful are
Hmm.
things like social cause flags that are coming from like Facebook, for example,
Hmm.
where an algorithm or a machine is essentially going through and looking for hot button words or
Hmm.
buzzwords, and then just flagging ads that we might put out there. And so
Hmm.
let's say the topic is healing racism, which is amazing, right? Having a conversation around healing racism, but this algorithm says, "Oh, racism, cut it. No, you can't have
Hmm.
that." And we have to really work through this process of of elimination to troubleshoot, like how can we promote this event without without it getting flagged or always cut off. So
Hmm.
that's a learning curve that we're really trying to explore through. And it seems like Facebook specifically, or Meta, is like really
Hmm.
trying to clamp down and like
Hmm.
making everyone conform to a very specific way of promoting. And you have
Yeah.
to be very clear about things, which is cool. I really like transparency, but at the same time, it's like there's like some freedoms that are removed. I guess freedoms of not speech, but of promotion. I don't know how to word that, but anyway, yeah, it seems like it's just more tightened. These tightened restraints that we're kind of bumping up against because we're having these conversations on social discourses and these issues around society that are often disunifying. Where our goal is personally creating unifying spaces, but because of the track record of these buzzwords and the spaces that they create, we're kind of up against that with Meta. So
yeah, special ad category is no joke there on Facebook. I understand. So what would you say is your kind of been your biggest success with marketing here so far?
Yeah. I would really lean into that mode of learning, and what it means. So before, like, let's say during the pandemic specifically, I was, like, oh, how do I because everyone's shut in. I'm like, okay, how do I promote my online performance? How do I do this? And I had to like sit down and learn through that process, and it was really tedious and slow and all of that. But a year into actually working in the field of social media, like creating an ad, advertising, boosting an ad, it's like I'm doing multiples every day. So it's like there's just no hesitation anymore. So there's no I guess I wouldn't call it fear, but like, timidity, like, cautiousness going about promoting these ads, because I'm like, oh, this is my money. I'm doing it. I'm over here working with, monies that don't necessarily belong to me, still being responsible with them. But at the same time, it's like I'm being asked to promote it. So I like, there's a formula or there's a approach that we're definitely following, and we're getting them out and moving them out in volume. And so that for me, that's liberating and freeing when it comes back to connecting to my own personal endeavors, because I'm like, oh, I can do this a little more freely. I feel like I'm doing it responsibly, wisely, and yeah, just being very more confident in what I'm doing. So I would say like victories or places that have really helped me out is just like this mode of learning and being able to build this capacity over the past year.
Learn every day is what I like to say. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of learning a little bit, do you have a favorite marketing book or business book there at the present point in time?
Honestly, no. Social media and reels and just like information in Google have really been the most informative thing in regards to my own personal development around marketing, and then also connecting to professionals who have been in the space for longer than I have. That's been like so valuable. Yeah, I haven't gotten to a place where I am exploring via the written medium, this field, but I'm learning through the hands-on and trial by fire approach.
Thank you for that. Do you have a favorite podcast or anything at the present point here, like business or otherwise?
Otherwise, for sure. Honestly, so much of my time is spent with music. Like if I'm working professionally, my professional realm also includes some of my own volunteerism. So there's like, my life is kind of working through, it's in and around media and volunteer development. And so there's a lot there. I like I said, in regards to the question about favorite book or most informative book space, like reels and YouTube. Gotcha. So I'll see something that will pop up on a feed for me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and it will spark me, and I want to learn more. Right? It hasn't made it into the book realm or hasn't made it into the podcast realm, but inside of those shorts and reels and then videos that you might find on YouTube that expand on it, they're really informative to me. And I would just say that because in my own personal interest, I'm also continuing to develop and learn more about the craft of the arts and science craft of music and things like that. So a lot of my time is also spent just like exploring that. So, I love marketing. I guess this is also something that I really appreciate is kind of a independent work, doing, being here, promoting, boosting events and things. So I'm always vibing out, always listening to music, just really establishing a nice environment for me to be productive and focused. And
Okay.
because of that, like something new comes across, the podcast comes across,
Hmm.
NPR's advertised something, and I'm on
Hmm.
it. I'm listening because, it keeps my mind going, and allows me also to focus. It's this nice little blanket for me to do my work on top of.
So you mentioned NPR. So is there like an NPR? I know NPR has several different podcasts there. Are there
Mm.
any specific ones that kind of just stand out in your mind there?
There are actually one that I would mention is Moth Radio Lab. Just the storytelling aspect of things.
Hmm.
When people, it's such an art to be able to share an experience with someone in a way that really moves. That is moving, but is
Hmm.
really vulnerable and expressive to yourself, and honoring and authentic. So I appreciate that Moth Radio Hour. Because I often hear like inspiring things. They used to say on NPR a lot, like driveway moments, right?
Hmm.
Like when you're listening in your car, you pull up and you just sit in your driveway and you listen to them. And so I have a lot of those moments with the Moth Radio Hour. And there's a number of other ones that they're escaping my
That no,
like.
that's fine. And you kind of mentioned YouTube and Reels that you go to. Are there any personalities or like any channels that you like particularly check out a little bit more often than others?
I would say no, just like I haven't. So I think it's interesting, right? Because it's a whole different game in
Mhm.
regards to marketing, like, creating a channel and getting people to subscribe to your channel. Like, I don't know if I've subscribed to that yet. I don't know if I even like how I feel about that process. I'm not sure
Gotcha.
yet, right? Like I think starting small with like Instagram and TikTok is good, but like when it comes to someone who is constantly putting media out there, I haven't yet got to that place where I spend enough time to always look for what they're sending out. Plus, like the YouTube is a different beast, and I don't know if this is just me because I spend less time there. But like as far as like suggested videos and things, I haven't found a good rhythm for YouTube to suggest things that I would want to pay attention to, right? So, but however, that being said, Instagram, TikTok will often lead me to YouTube Spaces, right? So I'm over there, but yeah, it's just like this old man learning the new ways of these young people, and I'm not pulling in. I guess only got like uh, 2/3 of my body all the way in.
Okay, all right. What has been the most helpful resource or tool that you've used kind of just in marketing and trying to get the word out here so far in the last year? If there's
Well, let's see. How could this? Let me think about like a meaningful response. I think just and this is just on a personal level for me. The thing that has been most useful and inspiring is watching other people explore and go through that learning mode. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're professionals. I think when it comes to professionals, it's like they're grinding, they're head down, they're doing their work. Um, and I think that there is probably a lot of individuals like yourself, Darrell, who are putting information out there, really trying to educate communities and how to do it. And that's happening on social media. But when it comes to like maybe in person, really connecting with people, the spaces where that's happened has been when I've connected with folks who are also just really learning and exploring, investigating, and that's really inspiring to me because it's like at the same time maybe they're not like baked into a process of marketing. They're like trying to explore and maybe even a little more creative than others might be with processes as they they're hanging out around the fringes of marketing. So those folks really inspire me. But I have had the opportunity within my agency to connect with folks who have been doing marketing for years and years. Like back when I was like just learning about it, they were already like professionals in that space. So those folks, because I have easy access to them, have been really wonderful. So I think if there was an opportunity to suggest something, is like if you have access to those individuals, like how can we create positive relationships with them so that some of that knowledge could really be passed on, and like that experience. It's almost like the social media and marketing elders that we need to be listening to and hearing their stories, because they've been through it all, and they're in the most recent iteration with you, and we're learning together in that space, but they have all this background information that informs where we're at right now.
Second to last question, what has been the most impactful piece of advice that you could give to those who are looking to get into social media? And I know you've given some already, but if you had to narrow down to like one piece of advice for people trying to build their social media today, what would you say?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm I'm a middle-aged dude trying to get with the program. It's a different approach. So I mean, I think I could definitely speak to people who are in my boat. Whereas like these new digital age folks, they're coming up. It's not a question. It's like, this is life. This is how it is. I just need to learn this because that's how I'm going to be successful. Whereas me, I'm like battling internally of whether I really want to do it or not, because I have this experience beforehand that made a lot of sense to me, and now I'm learning this new way. So I think for us folks, middle-aged folks who are trying to get in, like, just invest in loss. Invest in this idea that every mistake we make, we're gonna gain some capacity from it. We're really gonna grow, and just really go for it and look to those folks, even if those inspiring individuals that have like all this knowledge are like 20 years, 10 years younger than you. That those young people, they grew up with it, so like they don't even have to deal with the struggles that you're dealing or I'm dealing with, so it's second nature to them. So that natural ability almost in interacting with marketing, social media, technology is really inspiring. I aspire to this young person status where I don't even have to like struggle with my own self internally to make it happen. So I guess if it was advice, it would be like, just invest yourself as much as possible, learn from your mistakes, really ask great questions, explore. And then when you feel a little bit of confidence, push the envelope, because it doesn't mean that those young folks got all the magic and you don't have none. Because actually, now that we're kind of putting ourselves into this new space. We're on the outside and we get to ask questions, we get to explore and push the envelope, which is really quite exciting. So maybe in the near future, I'll pick something up and have some really creative, avenue or way of getting to a goal that we're all aiming towards. So everyone has a contribution to the process, no matter where they are. But let's respect each other, and each of our natural capacities. So yeah, that's kind of a convoluted way to say it, but yeah, I guess just look for those relationships that are there, regardless of old age and all of the differences that we might perceive, because the solutions for marketing betterment are out there, and they might surprise you who they're coming from.
Okay, great. Last question then, how can people get a hold of you or learn more about you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so within the work of my agency, it's not outward specifically, so it's not like, hey, connect to Emiliano for his marketing work. My personal information that I guess I would promote would be musical, and so I'm a hip hop MC. I've been doing it for 25 plus years, and I go by the name Diversoul.
Instagram or Spotify? Or
yeah,
like
absolutely. What? Yeah. So all of the music platforms, you name it, I'm on it. YouTube, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music. But then, yeah, I'm on TikTok as DVRSL and on Instagram as diverse.soul.music.
Okay. All right. Well, Emiliano, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with me, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, big respect, Darrell. Thank you for the opportunity.